Hey there, it is still November 25th, Wednesday, comic book day, second part of this week's reviews. In the first part, I reviewed Marvel stuff. In this part, I will review indie stuff. And then in the third part, I will review DC things, including the new Dark Knight 3, issue number 1. But that's later. For now, we are starting with Henchgirl, issue number 2. This is actually a reprint. The first print of this issue was not in color. This one is. So I picked it up after liking the first issue enough. And this issue continues being just kind of really cute. That is kind of the first word I would use to describe this book. It's a cute book about a girl who is a hench girl who is learning to maybe not be a hench girl and be a good person. This issue finds us following Mary, the hench girl, as she breaks into a party hosted by a wealthy billionaire, bachelor guy, big sort of Gatsby party sort of thing. But unlike her comrades who are going into the front door, Mary is forced to go in and infiltrate as the help, as a caterer. And then we follow her as she tries to do some evil stuff while catering, accidentally runs into this guy, once again, who we recognize from the first issue as the person who works at her bank, and also as the secret identity of a small-time hero in her city, the Mannequin. And of course, being a hero, the Mannequin does stop her when she tries to do some burglary at the party and steal some jewelry. He comes in, stops her, and says, "Hey, I'll help you get a legitimate job instead of robbing from people." And so then, after the party, we follow Mary on her first day being an actual caterer, and she seems pretty happy with her legitimate job, making legitimate money that she has to pay taxes on. Which is nice, and we see the beginning of this burgeoning friendship with Fred, who we learn is the Mannequin, or who she tells that she knows is the Mannequin, whatever. And he agrees to help her with some of her own plans. And that's pretty much the plot of this book. Again, it's mostly cute. It's another story about a 20-something in a big city trying to make it. Twist being that she's an evil henchman who's trying to be not so evil, instead of, maybe like a corporate drone trying to find her artistic side, or the typical kind of stories about 20-somethings in New York, or big cities, rather. And so that's it. That's kind of it. If you're in for that sort of book, for kind of a cute book about those things I said it was about, then I think you'll probably enjoy it. If you're looking for something else, something bigger, meatier, probably avoid it. Next up, we have Will Eisner's The Spirit number 5. This book, a lot more goes on than in Henchgirl. We start with Strunk and White kidnapped and being held hostage by the Octopus, who is kind of the Spirit's main archenemy. He is the Spirit's Lex Luthor, to his Superman, the Joker to the Spirit's Batman, that sort of dealio. And of course, the Spirit has to rescue them. The Spirit, hot on the trail, trying to find Strunk and White, who have been missing for some time now. And so while Strunk and White are, chained up and slowly being lowered into this pit of molten iron, the Spirit goes down the trail looking for them, going from one lead, following one lead to the next lead to the next lead to the next lead, eventually finding out what the Octopus's plans are, his actual big plans to make money or whatever, and then of course stopping him from eliminating Strunk and White. And so we get a quick little fist fight here between him and the Octopus. one of the Octopus's gimmicks are is that nobody knows what his actual face looks like. And it's not just like the readers, like even the spirit has no idea who the octopus actually is because his face is always obscured one way or the other. And so yeah, that's basically it. It's kind of simple, but very, very pulpy, very action-packed. The spirit rescuing his friends and stopping the octopus's evil plans. Yeah, it's kind of classic superhero stuff, or classic pulp hero things. I mean, this whole book is kind of throwback, and this issue is no different. If you enjoy that sort of thing, if you enjoy, a hero following leads and, hot on the trail of some mystery and, eventually getting into a punch-out with the guy, then this is that. It's not overly complicated, it's not overly dark or anything, it is just simple, pulpy action fun, as this book has been so far. I, for one, really enjoy that. I hope you do too, and it's just incredibly likable, fun stuff. So that is The Spirit number 5. Changing gears a bit to something a little darker is American Vampire Second Cycle issue 6. No, issue 11. My bad. I don't know why I got issue 6 from. Issue 11 of Second Cycle. The final issue of Second Cycle, as we find... messed up that sentence almost entirely. It is the last issue of Second Cycle, and we find, things running down to the wire as Pearl and Felicia, my bad. Yeah, as Pearl and Felicia try to race Isaku up the mountain to the drop-off point in order to stop the Grey Trader, and being chased by a small contingent of army who are after them, who are working for the trader, who want to blow them up, blow up the weapon and all that. Kind of a Mad Max 2 type chase, as you have Pearl in the truck and then Felicia overhead. It's a helicopter instead of a plane, but same sort of gist. Meanwhile, Sweet and Cool are stuck in orbit. Their thrusters are dead, and they are just stuck floating above the Earth with no hope of actually falling back towards it. The Grey Trader has kind of all but won, and we got a little more information about his overall plan, which involved actually becoming Sweet, or using Sweet as a host, which is now kind of ruined because Sweet's stuck in space. And Felicia and Pearl kind of come face to face with the Grey Trader, as they are ultimately, still pursued by the army people who are after them. This is a tense issue. I mean, it's tense right up to the final moment, right until we find out, will Pearl and Felicia make it to the top of the mountain? Will they finally deliver the weapon? And of course, will Sweet and Cool make it back to Earth? Or are they stuck in space forever? That's pretty much it. It's a chase scene. It's tense down to the wire. Fuse being lit and going to the dynamite. I'm gonna leave it. I'm still gonna leave it up to you to read and find out whether or not the dynamite goes boom in this issue, or if we're going to have to wait till cycle number 3 to see how this all plays out. Yeah, it's just tense. That is the overall quality of the book. It's, do Pearl make, do our heroes win is basically the question. And if so, at what cost? It's good, it's tense, it's chasey, it's, heroes making last-ditch efforts to pull one out of nowhere, and it's a bit of a tease at the very end. I will say that much as to what actually happens. But I quite enjoyed it. I'm going to pick up, the next issues, the next arc for sure. I am completely enwrapped in this story, and I want to see where it goes from here. So, American Vampire Second Cycle. Overall, this arc, I can't remember if it's actually been confusing or if it's just been I've been reading this for a year and some things, are slipping in and out. But aside from one issue that I remember distinctly not enjoying so much, I have enjoyed this trip into the American Vampire universe. Like I said, I will be returning to it. And this issue, despite being a bit of a tease, is just incredibly tense up to the very last page. And again, I'm interested in seeing what happens from here on out. So if that's how you measure the end of a book, then this has been very successful. Following that, another end of an arc is Kaptara issue number 5. End of the first arc of Kaptara, and another just a really satisfying arc, or really satisfying issue and satisfying end of the arc here. This issue deals with the gang, with the Kaptara gang, Keith and Melver and Sheila and all of them, trying to rescue or trying to prove Dargan's innocence. Not Dargan. Dartor. Prove Dartor's innocence after he is being arrested for killing the prince, which we find out about in the last issue. So in this issue, Dartor is being tried for killing the prince, and it is up to our heroes to prove his innocence. So the first half of this book is very much... First of all, I just love this page here, as the rest of the gang finds out that Dartor is being arrested, and there's going to be a big brawl, and then all of a sudden we have Motivational Orb just swoop in and drop some prime knowledge that immediately soothes, breaks up the fight and calms minds, which is great. Actually, Motivational Orb gets a lot of good lines in this issue, which is fun to see. He is probably the best... He or she. I mean, it's an orb. I don't want to gender it. But Motivational Orb is the best character in this book by far. And this issue gives a couple good reasons why I'd fall in love with Motivational Orb. So in order to prove... I don't know if you can hear that siren in the background or not. But in order to prove Dartor's innocence, the gang splits up with Keith and Melvor kind of doing CSI on the prince's dead body by going undercover, and Melvor is just disgusting. He's a shapeshifter, and the way he shapeshifts is just kind of gross looking. I'll show a panel from later on in the book where he just becomes a giant face blanket, and it's unsettling. Meanwhile, everyone else, or rather, not everyone else, but Lorette, Sheila, and Motivational Orb go out doing some detective work and trying to find out if Dartor was framed, who framed him. And another great scene of Motivational Orb just swooping in at the last minute, stopping this guy from running. And then the very next page, know when you are beat, which is both wisdom and just a hell of a line, That'll shut anyone up. So that's, I don't want to spoil too much of this book because it does get really good, and there are some, really good moments other than just the Motivational Orb and Melvor stuff I showed you. But yeah, this book is kind of a police procedural in a way. Is our client guilty or not? And if he's not, let's find out who really did do the crime. And then it becomes a kind of escape from New York sort of thing as things happen that I don't quite want to spoil. But yeah, Kaptara is a funny book, first and foremost. This book, it's funny. There are funny moments, funny characters doing just, as I showed, funny things and also unsettling things. This book is definitely not for the squeamish, I'd say. But other than that, if you enjoyed the little things I did show you of Motivational Orb and of Melvor, that is the general gist of this book. That is the tone this book is going for. Kind of absurd and uncanny. Not quite gross out humor, but, it's not Marx Brothers either. So that is Kaptara issue number 5. I am enjoying it. It's up my alley humor-wise, and if it's up your alley too, then, it's up your alley, then go get it. I recommend it. Just trying to see if there's anything else. The art is a big part of this book. It's just so imaginative. So yeah, here's another page or another panel that I think is just some really fun art. This table is another bug dude, and all the drinks and stuff, and just the character designs. A lot of this book is just, it's fun to look at, and that's also where a lot of the humor comes from. Is this book is fun and funny to look at. And I don't want to get again too much into the latter half of this book because it does completely switch gears, and I want to leave that to you to discover for yourself. So that is Kaptara number 5. And the last issue of this video that I'm reviewing is Saga, issue 31, start of a brand new arc of Saga, which remains one of the best comic books, in many people's opinion, the single best comic book coming out, right now. So yes, issue 31, start of a new arc, and this arc follows a bit of a time skip, as an older Hazel, 4-year-old, as we find out later in the book, as a 4-year-old Hazel is in school. We spend a little bit of the beginning of this book. Well, first of all, she's in school and she's kind of the class clown. And we find out how she got to this school and what exactly this school is. So jumping back a bit before the time skip, we see Hazel, Alexis, previously of the Freedom Fighters, and her grandmother being kidnapped by the robots and being taken to a facility, basically a prison for the enemy non-combatants, which are all, people with horns and people affiliated who associate or ally with the horns. At this, non-combatant prison facility, they also run back into Isabel, who disguises herself as a doctor, and then we jump back into the time skip where Hazel is 4 years old. She's still living with her grandma. They haven't exactly separated the family, which is nice, and she's kind of enjoying herself in school. The teacher, she seems legitimately nice. You find out, she's not really, she's allied with the Wings, but she doesn't exactly approve of them. And so, it seems to be a sweet little setup there. And we're introduced to another character who I can't exactly show because her debut is, she's naked, but she's she's intersex. She's both male and female. She has both male and female genitalia, and Hazel runs into her in the shower room and gets into a bit of a discussion about, what this person is, male or female, and then, there's just a brief kind of thing there of, someone who's not one or the other, who's both, in a way, and that relates back to Hazel, of course, who is neither horned nor winged. He's both, and she, with new, it's it's hard if you're not reading the book and I can't show you the panel because it's, it involves nudity, but yeah, we're introduced to Hazel, who's comfortable in a way that, she's in a prison, for enemy non-combatants. She's not free, but she's with other people her age. She's going to school. She's making friends of a sort. She's stable in that she can, rely on, her grandma to be there at all times, and Isabel and all that, and Auntie Alexis, as we find out from the narration. And we find out, how things become uncomfortable for her again, so to speak, and we see the relation between this new character, this new intersex character, and Hazel's own sort of hybrid nature, and how that keeps on popping up to make her life more complicated than it really should be for someone her age. At this point, 31 issues in, if you're not on board with Saga, either you're just waiting for trades or waiting for the series to end and then pick it up all at once, or you're just never going to get into it. But every issue, I have to recommend it. Saga legitimately is one of the best ongoings out right now in comic books, and if you're to read 5 comic books Like, if you're going to read one comic book, I'd suggest Sex Criminals, but if you're going to read 5, then Saga should be on there. If you care about good storytelling, if you're looking for a good space opera, a good family drama, a good adventure story, really, Saga scratches any narrative itch you might have. And if you're not reading it by now, again, you really should be. And that is it for the independent books that I picked up this week. If you're interested in the Marvel books that I picked up this week, that is in the last video that should be uploaded by now. If you are interested in the DC books, that is coming up after this one in part 3. And of course, that does include the first issue of the new Dark Knight stuff, what they're doing. But before moving on to other videos, if you decide to do that, I want to thank you for watching this one. If you liked it, please rate it. If you want to, please subscribe. Any questions, comments, anything whatsoever, feel free to leave them below, and I will try and get to them. And again, if you are in America, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Again, I'm thankful for you guys watching my videos, and I do hope that you will join me for the next week's comic book reviews.